Alright, right, I am Stephen Staley and I am doing this video today to say thank you. Thank you to everyone that made GameSeek a success. GameSeek, if you didn't know, was a large independent video games retailer in the UK between 2002 and 2018. Thank you so much to all the distribution partners, to all the staff, the amazing staff at GameSeek, and I mean going all the way back. I mean it's a long time, 16 years. And the biggest thank you, of course, goes to the customers, because the customers ultimately, and the staff, but the customers and the staff made GameSeek what it was. So thank you. For those of you that are wondering why did GameSeek end, it's actually a sad story that I will cover probably in a future video. For now, the main purpose of this was just to say thank you. I do apologise to anyone that got caught up in the end of the business. Yeah, I am deeply sorry about that. It's bothered me for a long time, to be honest. I never thought it was going to happen, but the legal issues are still going on now. To do with what happened. Obviously I'm not happy about what happened. I didn't like it and I didn't want it to end. I didn't want it to end how it ended. I never expected it to end. I thought it was just going to be a runaway success, and in another lifetime it would have definitely been. I had so many ideas for this business, so many, what I would have done to take it as far as it possibly could have gone all around the world. I was going to, and obviously it's going to evolve into something much bigger than just video games. But we'd already moved into all the other industries anyway. Primitively, we were quite big in the toy industry at the time, but we also had moved into healthcare, but everything with a barcode. It got to the point where everything with a barcode is going to be sold, and we had about 8 different websites coming. I had some good ideas really, but I won't go into that. But what I will do is share some of my memories of the past. Now, to some of you this might be boring, right? I do warn you. But to some people it might be interesting, and it'd be good for me to talk about some of them. I think I've got quite a lot of good stories to tell on different subjects based on this journey from 2002, 16-17 years of having nothing basically. I set GameSeek up with £53 straight out of uni, and to go from £53 to one day I had over £1 million in the bank. I remember taking a photo of my bank account. I know it's a bit sad, but it was a proud moment at the time. First time I ever had 7 digits in my bank account. But yeah, went from nothing to being a multi-millionaire to being nothing again. It's quite a good journey. Yeah. So yeah, I just wanted to start off by saying, what was GameSeek? Well, GameSeek was a big important part of UK video games industry during, when was it? Probably kicked off in 2002, although I was running it in 2000 whilst I was at uni, and it ran all the way up to 2018. So we went from, I don't know, the PS2 era to deep into the PS4 era. So I saw quite a lot during all those years, and over the time we amassed over 3 million customers, plus 722,000 of them were on our email newsletter that we sent out 3 or 4 times a week. So we had a decent engagement, especially on the news pages on the website, which was really a busy part of the site. Yeah, it was a how can I say it? It was an interesting time of my life, because all I wanted to do was beat Amazon. That was it. Especially to the last 6-7 years, I just wanted to batter Amazon. That was it. If whatever Amazon was doing, I was going to make sure that I was going to get products to our customers cheaper than Amazon. I didn't care that we were making no money, but I could do it without losing money, which was important. So yeah, any GameSeek customer that remembers just how aggressive I was against Amazon and no one else. I wasn't interested in any other competition. All I focused on was Amazon, and yeah, all the new releases, practically all of them, were cheaper with us than it were with them. And I've seen I do apologise to the UK public, the prices you're paying now for games is ridiculous. I know most of you probably moved on to downloads now, but back then it was all physical, and the prices were cheap. You could get new releases for like £35, and now I think they're like £45, are they, or £50? Ridiculous. Yeah. And the way I did it, by the way, just in case anyone was wondering, is I used to import all my games from Greece, and it was the only way I could get it cheap for the UK people, because if I bought it directly in the UK, I would have made a massive loss. So some of the UK distributors were not too chuffed with me for a long time, even though I spent millions with UK distributors. They still wanted more of me, but yeah, they were never happy, were they? I thought I'd share this one as well because it's quite a unique one. But this is going back to 2002, and I told my parents that I'm going to set up an e-commerce company. And my dad worked on the railway, and he was also a fireman part-time. And my dad's words were, "If you set up a business in my house, I'll kick you out," basically. Thanks, Dad. Anyway, I did do it, set it up. He found out 6 months later, and then he kicked me out. So thanks again. I don't think my parents understood the power of the internet even. I know it was primitive at the time, but I could see how big this thing was going to be. And yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why GameSeek was a massive success, because it was the relentless focus on being successful and making sure that it was just going to work. Basically, it was just going to work. There was just no doubt in my mind that this thing was going to work. One of my earliest memories of GameSeek was Grand Theft Auto Vice City on the PS2. Grand Theft Auto Vice City, because I priced the game at $34.75, and at the time it was $39.99 in every single high street shop. The amount of orders I had, and I was running it from Mum and Dad's house at the time, the amount of orders I had for that game, it was unbelievable. And I was just £5 cheaper than the high street, and I remember that really started it for GameSeek. That game was massive, absolutely huge. And it also made me realise that what an opportunity I had with GameSeek, because I didn't need a high street shop. I didn't have the money, but to buy a big building in the high street and be in the centre of Manchester or Liverpool or London. It was amazing. It was a level playing field where all I had to do was make the best website, and I compete against these big high street retailers who have also just got to have a website as well. So it was like all of a sudden whoever had the best website was the best business almost. It was a level playing field that I absolutely loved. And I remember the first design of GameSeek, it'd be well primitive now, but if you went back to 2002, there's a lot of naff websites out there, even the big stores. They were so slow to catch on. I mean, I remember 2002, I had to go to America to get a merchant account. I couldn't even get an online trading account in the UK because they were so far behind at the time. And I know over the next 10 years, the UK caught up very quickly, and then we're almost ahead of the curve. But at the time, it was like alien to banks. No one was taking the internet serious. But yeah, that was what was dead exciting about e-commerce trading, and still to this day, to be honest. One of my earliest memories was advertising in games magazines, and I made a right rookie cock up. Rookie mistake. I spent £4,000. I remember doing the deal with Imagine Publishing, and all they gave me was a quarter of the page. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I had quite a few issues for that. I think I had about 15 issues, but my God, my relationship with them, I went from that terrible deal when I was just a naive kid to, in the end, I used to get a full page ad in the back of the magazine for £100 or £120, something like that. So you can see. But I'll show you some of the adverts. I mean, it's going back a long time, how it all started. And over time, like I said, I went from, I mean, I'd never do it now. Never advertise offline if you've got an online business. But back then, there was still a lot of people that read magazines. Who remembers the Logitech Driving Force Pro wheel on the PS2? Now, this wheel, steering wheel, was like the first... Oh, it was Gran Turismo, that's what it was. It was Gran Turismo. It was like the Gran Turismo wheel. And it was sold by Logitech. Anyway, we sold... I was running the GameSeek from my house at the time. And we sold 281 of these steering wheels in a matter of days. And Logitech wonders, who the heck's this GameSeek? So they come out to see us and was shocked. I remember being shocked that I was in an house, in a little room on my own, which was quite funny. But these steering wheels, they were big. They were big. I had no way of storing 281 steering wheels in my house. Even if I put them in my garage, I'd have to put them on the driveway. It was an absolute headache. And I remember I was panicking about this. How am I going to get these products out to the customers? And then it was CityLink, the courier CityLink, that said, just send them straight to the depot, we'll do it for you. I was like, really? Yeah, just print out the labels and we'll do it for you. I was like, amazing, all right. So I printed out 281 labels, gave it them, bang. Never heard one complaint, everyone was dead happy. Jesus, that was one of the first moments, I think, of early GameSeek when I started to realise just how powerful internet selling was. This is a bit embarrassing to admit, but at that warehouse in Hertford, this was the first warehouse we moved into, and I remember thinking, how could I make it good fun for the staff? I was only a young kid. How could I make it good fun for the staff? So the first thing I did, I got a football pitch, I got some goals, and we used to play football in there. And then, obviously we had quite good PCs, so we started playing, what was it, Medal of Honor, that was it, Medal of Honor. And we're all, instead of working, we were playing these video games. And we worked a bit, but I remember, typical it'd get to like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I'd turn to Tim and go, Tim, let's go to the pub. And we just shut up, put a message on the door, gone out, come back later, to the couriers. I mean, it's insane what we used to do. I've just seen some pictures of me from that unit back then, and interesting, something stuck out to me. There's a picture of me, and in the background on my computer is a picture of a yellow Lamborghini. Now, what I used to do as a young kid is I used to always put the picture on my laptop or my computer of something I was going for. It might have been a material thing, but it was a vision. And my first one on my old PC, my parents, was a Ferrari 355. That was what I really wanted at the time when I first set the business up, and I got that. I gave myself a goal. I had to get that Ferrari within 2 years of setting up the business, and I got it. I remember I got it on July 17th, 2004, and I was well chuffed with that. I got it with, I had about 3 months to spare. And then that yellow Lamborghini, I got that in 2008. I had that yellow Lambo for about 9 years. It was good fun, that. Once I got the yellow Lambo, I'd already moved on to the next thing, so on my computer next was a mansion, and I got that. And I know what I would have done next. It would have been a plane after that. Well, actually it would have been a helicopter first. I think the reason why I'm saying this is that was always a good thing for me to get me focused. If I put a vision on my desktop, could have been anything, it didn't have to be a material thing, could have been anything, something every day that I could work towards. Actually, quite embarrassingly, towards the end of the business, it was Jeff Bezos. It was Jeff Bezos, and it was Jeff Bezos all the time. In my head every day when I woke up, I was focusing on what he was up to. Even though I had no chance of touching his business, like no chance. In my head, I thought I had a chance. I looked at it like this. We had 3 million customers. He had about 25 in the UK at the time. And I was thinking, it's not that impossible, is it? Is it impossible? Then I thought, hold on, I've got no money. And he's got like billions worth of investment. But I can still do it. I can still do it. I can still compete against him. And that's what, it's quite funny actually looking back. But I was so focused, so driven. And it didn't matter. Nothing would deter me from the vision at the time. Obviously something did deter me from the vision in the end, but that was something that happened in my personal life, unfortunately. But until that moment, I was focused. I used to work at my desk until I was that tired I'd fall asleep on my laptop or my keyboard, depending if I had a desktop at the time. It was horrible, but I was that tired I'd sleep anywhere, and all I wanted to do was reset for 10 minutes and carry on working. That was it. Just wanted to work until everything was successful, and that was the approach. Okay, so this is the bad side of owning an e-commerce company. You are selling high-risk products, well, especially, God, it's even worse if you've got jewellery, for example, but video games at the time, and maybe it still are to some extent, they were quite a high risk for insurance. And one year I just bought a new warehouse in Winsford, and I was worried that it was going to get broken into. So I hired a company to come out before I moved in and build an internal wall inside the warehouse to make sure that if anyone came in and tried to break in, they were like, oh dear, there's another wall here. So I had this wall built at the back because that's what I was worried about. I was worried about the back of the room. I wasn't worried about the sides. I wasn't even worried about the front because there was protection at the front. But the back, there was no protection other than, you know, a brand new proper steel corrugated sheeting. You know, it was a decent warehouse. It was just, there was a risk there. Anyway, I think within 6 weeks of moving in, I'd moved everything in. The Wii console had just come out. We had loads of Wii consoles up on the racking. PS3 and 360 were the big deal at the time. Anyway, someone broke in. I had a phone call saying your alarm's gone off. I was playing Pro Evo at the time with my mate Craig, and we literally stopped playing straight away, and we were quite addicted to that game. Jumped in the car. We were only going around the corner. It was only about a minute away. Got to the warehouse, opened the door, and I remember looking to the left straight away because I thought, well, please, the Wii consoles, I need them to be there. So I looked up at the rack and Wii consoles were all there. I was like, oh, thank God, must be a false alarm. And we walked to the bottom of the warehouse, and when we got to the bottom of the warehouse, we realised that someone had broken in, and it was horrible. That was horrible, horrible, horrible. I can still remember it now. That day I had a surprise 30th birthday party waiting for me as well. Thank you, Gemma, by the way, for setting that up. And it was definitely one of the bad moments of owning this company. Quite a few people, I presume, broke in. They spent a long time doing it. They brought building equipment down. They smashed the internal wall as well, so they obviously knew it was there. I'm not even going to speculate how it happened, but I've got ideas. Yeah, they cleared out. They just went like that and just dragged all the PS3 and 360 games off the shelves and just took them away. I presume they probably just chucked them in Royal Mail sacks or big bags and just did a runner. They wouldn't have been there long because we got there quick, but I remember phoning up the insurance company and they were like, Stephen, we'll give you one more chance. And I was thinking in my head, oh my God, on this planet, you could be defined as a success or failure based on other people. That was frightening to me, because if I got robbed from again, I would have been uninsurable. That's what they basically said. Now, admittedly, I probably overreacted at the time. If I look back now, I probably would have just got insurance off someone. Do you get me? I probably would have. But I remember at the time, emotions were running high, and oh, it was a bad time. And I remember putting a bed in that office after that, so that I hired someone to stay there and sleep in the office for the next 2 weeks. It cost a fortune, that did. A waste of money probably. So I think it was in about 2008 when Play.com closed. Play.com, for people that don't know, were the biggest e-commerce company in the early 2000s, from what I can remember anyway. They were massive. They were in Jersey. They had about 7 warehouses out there, and it was before Amazon's time. Amazon were around, but they were small, and obviously over time Amazon went massive. But in the early e-com days, it was Play.com. And I remember when Play.com announced they were finishing trading, and I contacted them straight away. I wanted their machines, so I flew out to Jersey to meet them. They met me at the airport, took me down to the warehouses. Oh God, it It was amazing. I felt like as a kid in the sweet shop, there was so many big machines like that cost them, I don't know, anything from maybe 200,000 euros. There was one machine for 600,000 euros. I remember because I bought that one for 32 grand. I think it was, bargain it was. But yeah, just they had DVD machines because they did a lot of DVDs, didn't they? And they had one machine. Well, they had 4 of the same one, and it did 1,200 DVDs an hour. And I brought one of them back. I also brought 2 B Plus machines, which were big toy packing machines. I also brought down 2 carousels that you could store 250,000 DVDs in each. And I bought loads of stuff off them, and it was awesome. And I brought it back to the UK, and yeah, it was a good moment actually. It was a good moment for the business because it put us in a position to be able to do volume basically, and that's what allowed us over time to go up to doing up to 8,000 sales a day, orders out the door in a day because of the machinery. Yeah, it was a good moment for us. Also about Play.com, some people won't know this, but we were Play.com's biggest video game retailer. We're also 2nd or 3rd biggest toy retailer for them. And because you could sell on their website, certainly towards the end of their business when I think they were looking for a way out. Especially they were still trading actually, and we were selling pre-order video games off on Play.com's website. So customers might have thought they were buying them from Play.com, and then we were sending them out. And we'd do thousands on new releases. We had a really good run back then with new release video games. Again, we weren't making that much money, if anything, on them, but we were building the customer base. That's what our main aim was, always to get the data, reach out to as many people in the UK as we could. Yeah, it was a good time for us. That I've got to cover the PS3 launch and the PS4 launch. The PS3 launch first. So we're coming off the back of the PS2, which has sold 155 million units. It was the most successful console ever. And Sony, they were taking a bullish approach where they almost thought, oh, we'll win the next generation. That's how it felt anyway. They dropped this console, which was way too expensive, even though the tech at the time was really good, and it was good. It was £425, and it was just too much. It was just too much. The price just slowed down the sales on that, I remember. And at launch, we didn't sell many, and the ones we did sell got stolen by credit card fraud. I remember, I think I lost about, I lost thousands on that bloody console. Anyway, the reason why I'm bringing that up is because I really wanted it to do well, but it didn't. So the press used to ask questions, you know, how's this doing, how's that doing, every so often. They asked me about the PS3. I said, well, it's not selling. It's not selling. They're just gathering dust in the warehouse. I said something like that, I can't remember. Next minute, it was everywhere. It went into the UK, then it went straight over to Asia. And I think I've still got I could probably still find some of the articles online about it. But I remember Sony phoning us up, they were not happy. They said, what have you done? What have you said? I've just told the truth. It's not selling. To be fair, they were alright about it, but they were worried about it. It got a lot of bad press for them. And it wasn't too long after that they reduced the price, but I just remember that panic that day when they were kept on phoning me up going, what have you done? What have you said? It's like... Something I want to say as well is how good the official Sony distributor were when it came to Sony products. They were absolutely brilliant. And I think that goes all the way back to the PS1 when that launched around 95 in the UK, because at the time it wasn't supported, the console wasn't supported by big chains like Dixon's, for example. You couldn't go into Dixon's to get a PlayStation. You only could get a Sega Saturn. I remember that very well in the mid-90s, and it took a couple of years for Sony to get into the big chains. I don't know why that was, but I remember you used to open up the back of magazines, it said where to buy a Sony PlayStation from, and it just listed independent retailers, and I thought that was really odd. So I think Sony love independent retailers because of that, because of the PlayStation 1. and they were absolutely brilliant. I just thought I'd say that. They were brilliant all the way through. When it came to the PS4 launch, my God, we got thousands, so thank you for that. It was awesome. Something that isn't that interesting about the PS4 launch, but I thought I'd share with you, is that it's a bit of business. At the time, we used Parcelforce to send out all the consoles, and I think we paid about £5, maybe £5.50 next day delivery at the time, which I know isn't that good. I know people that do big volume can get next day delivery for like £2.60. We weren't at that point of our business at the time, and yeah, I think I worked out that Royal Mail Tract had just come out. Royal Mail Tract did us a deal. I think it was £1.70 or something for Tract, and I think nearly all Tract were next day. It wasn't guaranteed, but I think it was like either 1 to 2 days off the top of my head. And I remember having a meeting, calling the guys and into the office and saying, guys, I've done some sums last night. Let's do the PS4 launch, but we're going to shift everything from Parcelforce to Royal Mail Tract. How many consoles are we going to lose? Like, how many are going to go missing based on the data we've got? And they were like, I don't know. I'll tell you how many we're going to lose. We're going to probably lose none, but we can afford to lose over 40, and we're still going to make a profit based on sending it, instead of using Parcelforce. And they couldn't believe it. Like, wow. And it made them realise that at that point we needed to move away from expensive couriers because they were killing us. What happened was the PS4 came out, we sold thousands of them, not one went missing, they all went Tract. Never looked back after that. Fair play to Royal Mail, I will say. The Royal Mail Tract service is good. And it was a godsend for retailers at the time, because you had every Tom, Dick and Harry pretending their items didn't turn up. And they were like, have you got a signature for it? And it's like, no, okay, I'll have my money back. Oh my God. I tell you what, one thing I don't miss from e-commerce is that every day we were paying out thousands in refunds. It was, well, maybe not thousands, but certainly hundreds of pounds every day. And that is stressful. That is not good for an online retailer. But obviously, we put that much pressure, I say we, the stores, on couriers to do Tract cheap to avoid that problem. We were very well known for the Nintendo Switch launch. Now, I'll tell you the story about this. We ended up selling Nintendo Switches at launch for £198.50, which was a disaster because they retailed at £279.99. And when a launch of a console comes out, there's always short supply, so you can oversell if you want. Some retailers would bundle in, chuck in a couple of games and sell each console for £400, something like that. But I guessed that the price would have been about £200. And we started pre-ordering, putting sales out for this console early, and I couldn't believe it when Nintendo told us it was going to be £279. I had a choice really to contact all the customers who probably would have just paid the extra £80 or whatever it was. But in the end I thought, no, don't want to, let them all have it for £198. It ended up costing, obviously, tens of thousands, but I didn't care. I really didn't care. It was never about the money for me. It was more about, I wanted us to be the most well known and the best retailer. That's all I wanted to be, the best retailer. It's bloody hard though. I know we weren't perfect. We had problems like everyone else, but yeah, I just wanted to. I wanted to get products to the public as cheap as possible. That was always what I was trying to do. But that one stands out for me. And we did milk it, to be fair. I know we did. We did carry on past the launch as well, selling for £198.50. Ultimately, it was Epic of GameSeek for selling it for £198.50. Oh God, I've got to mention this story. This is a good one. I was fascinated at one point, I think it was around 2015 probably time, of having our own products built in China. I spent many nights working till about 4 AM, and the Chinese come online about 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'd work every night anyway. I'd work every day, every night. I'd work about 18 hours a day, me. Sadly, I did work far too much. These particular nights where I was up till about 4, I was trying to find out where all the products are getting made in China, that the source, because you get about 40 factories selling the same item, and we had about 40 different items in the end of our own branded stuff. Yeah, it was interesting doing that, finding all the the best prices, the best quality you can. Some of the quality is terrible, I know. We did sell some products that weren't, well, they were nowhere near as good as the official products, but they were miles cheaper. So we sold thousands and thousands and thousands. One product in particular, this was a cracker. The little thumb grips for the PS4 to put on your PS4 controllers. So in its peak, we were selling over 1,000 of these a day. It was brilliant. And it really bothered Amazon because it went straight to number 1 on the Amazon chart for video games. Amazon weren't happy, so they kicked the product out of the category and stuck us in computer and electronics. They just didn't want us to be the top seller. I don't think they would have liked the fact that it said GameSeek all over the product as well. But yeah, for a long time that product sold over 1,000 a day. So I remember ordering about another 130,000 of them, and then the sales slowed down so much. I think I ended up with about 50,000 lying around. Yeah, it had a very good run, and then all of a sudden it slowed down. So GameSeek had 3 million customers, and each year towards the last few years we'd probably get over 600,000 customers a year. And it's a bit heartbreaking saying this, to be honest, because the very last year of our existence, the last Christmas, 2017 Christmas, the business had finished in May 2018, was the busiest Christmas in terms of website traffic on our website ever. We built GameSeek up over years to be bigger and bigger and bigger every year. And my God, for a video games e-commerce site, we were getting nearly 50,000 people on the website a day. Now that is a lot. Now it's not nowhere near like massive, like Amazon, what Amazon get. But for us, that was a big deal. And also against the competitors as well, they were not getting anywhere near that. And you've got to remember, we didn't have much of a budget at all. We just had me, and that was it. We had to be clever with our marketing. I won't go too much into everything we did on this video, but yeah, it was a good business. Bottom line, it was good, and it's sad, really, that the end came so soon after that. But something we were quite proud of at GameSeek at the time were our development systems. So our goal was to have everything visible. Whether you worked in the warehouse or the office, your name was going to be on the screen. So we had screens everywhere. In the warehouse, they were set up to give, I don't think other companies would do this, but points based on who's the fastest packer, depending on how big the package is. Depends on how many points you get for packing it. So they had a leaderboard in the packing area. They had a leaderboard in the in the goods in as well. I think I wanted to turn everything into like a game, but also a productive game. In the office, it was just trying to make mundane tasks more exciting, because they were so important to the business that they were done right and done quickly. So in the office, for example, there might be a section of the content team that would all race to fix product data and then get points for that. Yeah, and we developed some interesting systems in the office. It's sad to see it all go, really, and obviously I'm sure it's been superseded by much better stuff now that you can buy off the shelf, but at the time we were doing everything bespoke, and yeah, it was a decent system. So one thing we did towards the end of GameSeek was a marketplace. Now the marketplace, ultimately the idea behind that was, if we didn't have a product, we could have another retailer supply it and take some of the commission of that sale. And that appealed to us because the way the market was going, it became more and more dangerous to hold stock. Now at one point It's crazy. We had nearly £3 million worth of stock in 3 warehouses. Obviously our main one, but we had a warehouse down the road in Winsford we used to pay to put pallets in. I had my other warehouse down the road as well that we were putting pallets in. And it was evident that more and more sellers were selling online, and the demand, or let's just say you couldn't get away with stuff that you could get away with before. Everything seemed to sell in the early days of the internet because there was not many people selling, and then everyone was selling. So yeah, we did the marketplace for that reason, and the marketplace is something that we needed to put so much time and effort in, and ultimately we ran out of time. But during its short lifespan, we did amass over 1,000 retailers. It is sad because I'm still getting emails after the business ended from large companies wanting to get listed. One of which I think he had 1.5 million products, and I'm like, you know, it's just come too late. But it had potential, the marketplace, but we never made any money on it because we never had enough time to get it going, I don't think. I don't really know what else to say about the marketplace. In hindsight, was it a good idea or a bad idea? It didn't help us, let's just say, but it certainly wasn't the reason why GameSeek ended. It didn't help us because the company that provided the software said it would take one developer 3 months to program. Oh my god, I think we had about 5 people on it, and it took 6 months to make it look half decent. Yeah, problems. Very briefly, I'll talk about the Play Expo in Manchester, where we were the headline retailer. Good experience. Would never do it again because we lost an absolute fortune. It's probably our own fault, to be honest. We had the main area for a retailer at the show, and I hired some young girls to go around the show and harass people to get their customer data off them, in return for entering a competition to win a PlayStation 3, or was it a PlayStation 4? A PlayStation 4 it would have been. PlayStation 4 console that we were going to give away at the end of the final day. And we did, unfortunately. It's another story, but the guy that won it wasn't even there. So it didn't have the effect we wanted. And what we did is we gave away loads of products, and we kept on chucking them into the crowd. And this is stupid when I look back, stupid, but we had products on the shelf, and we had products with games in on the shelf. So whilst everyone was scrapping over these free things on the floor, they were nicking stuff off the shelf. I think we lost I worked out we lost 9 or 10 grand in that weekend when we did that show. Yeah. And I remember actually, we turned up on the first day with over 100 grand's worth of video games, and I had it in this little room in the show. Now I was petrified because obviously it's quite a lot of money, and I remember going home on the first night and I took about 80 grand's worth back because I didn't have a clue how many people would be buying at the show. As it turns out, not many people. But yeah, that's just one little memory that I can think of about that show. But I think the best thing about that show really was meeting the customers face to face. I think that's the only time we did it, and we probably should have done it more, to be honest. Apart from the fact that we lost so much money, if we could have found a different way to meet the customers where we wouldn't lose as much money, then maybe we should have done that, and I'm sure there would have been a way. I think I've covered enough stories now, because I am aware that this might actually be boring for quite a lot of people. So I'm going to just put at the end of the video some pictures from the past and leave it there. So just wanted to say again, thank you everyone involved. I don't want to single out anyone, but I also don't want to miss anyone out. Everyone involved in making GameSeek a success whilst it was here. From 2002, from the first trade on October the 7th, 2002, all the way up to May the 3rd, 2018. Thank you very much.